Alright guys, it's day 3. They whipped us again yesterday, as you all probably saw. But we got back here to camp, and Gritty and Ryan both shot bucks yesterday, which was a huge confidence boost. Greg and I are out early this morning. We're going to try to get to the spot right at daylight. We're going to be glassing from the truck to try to save our legs a little bit today. We've been walking a ton the last few days, so hopefully we can spot a buck, pin him down in one of these draws, and then get in there. It's calm today, so calling might actually be a good strategy. We'll just have to play it by ear and see what kind of situations we can get ourselves into and get set up and start glassing. Let's go. We've been sitting here glassing for the last 30 minutes or so and haven't seen much. We can't really see down into a lot of these little secondary points and kind of cuts and stuff off of this ridge where we expect the deer to be. So we're going to try to maneuver around and get to a different position where the sun will be at our back when we're looking into that ridge. So we're going to head over to our east, try to get up on a high point and look back to the west with the sun hitting us at our backs. Oh, right here. Doe right here. See? There they go. As soon as we get in the truck, we start seeing deer. That's how it works every day. Right there. Looking at us. You should see him. Wide open. Mm-hmm. Spotted a bunch more deer. As soon as we got in the pickup, things started to happen for us. The problem is that it is so calm this morning that even the slightest sound up there, those deer are going to hear it from a long ways away. Looks like 3 bucks and a doe, and the biggest buck keeps running the other little ones off. They may end up going over the hill, I'm not sure. I was hoping they'd stay in that draw and we could potentially bed them down and then make a stalk. But it's all going to depend on what they do next. A little after 9 now, and we've stopped seeing deer. I'm assuming that most of them are bedded by now. But after we came up on this hillside, we saw a couple coyotes over there that were howling for some time. And I watched a small buck go up one of these little finger ridges up to the top, kind of where the rest of those bucks and that doe went earlier. All the deer that we saw right here in this little pocket this morning, you know, it's either 3 or 4 bucks and 1 doe. They've all went up and over the ridge. So we're going to have to either try to figure out a way to go around to get eyes on them or just make a plan on these deer for later. They keep going up in the same spot though every time, and we've seen them do that now multiple times in the last few days. That may be a good spot to set up either this evening or tomorrow morning, depending on what else we get into today. There, big mature doe. That one might make Labrador wait there. Ooh, there's another one. Yeah. Nice. There they are right here. There's this big knob right here off the road that I think would serve as a good spot to glass. So Greg and I are going to sneak up there, look down in there where we saw those does and see if we can't spot a buck with them. Well, it's just afternoon time. and we got a change of plans. We were gonna go back over to that area where we saw those deer this morning, the one that we hunted a few days ago. But just got back to the truck and it barely started. I had to give it quite a bit of gas to get it to turn over. And all morning long it's been sluggish starting, and we ain't got no service out here in the middle of the desert. So we're gonna head back to camp, put some gas in it, see if the problem persists. Rentals.
Brand new rental.
Tell you what, if this was my brand new truck I just took my second mortgage on my house to pay for, I'd be real upset. Cause I know this thing ain't cheap. I'd have to sell 30 Smurfs to buy it. Don't you think?
30? Well, how much do you think that Smurf is worth?
500 bucks. Think about that for a minute now. If I own a $500 car that runs and gets me from A to B and starts every time, and I'd have to sell 60 of them to buy this truck?
At least this might be a $45,000, $50,000 vehicle.
What kind of sense does that make?
I don't know. I don't own one.
To each their own, I suppose. But you ain't gonna see me driving one of these anytime soon. Not that I own, anyway.
Coming quick.
Yeah, for probably about 10 seconds.
Well, this is going to conclude the end of day 3. We struggled mightily today, but we did find some bucks once again, and just did not get in the right situation. That's what we keep talking about. Like, eventually, we're going to spot one that's in the right situation where we can go down there and kill him. Yeah, this is a blast, though. I mean, there's no place I'd rather be right now than down here in deer camp in Arizona. This is fun. Like, we're seeing tons of deer every single day. Tons of all kinds of other wildlife. Greg filmed some roadrunners today in slow motion, so that's got to be some pretty sweet footage. There's your excuse to show your footage. And look at this buck that Ryan got yesterday. These things are rad. Look at how dark their antlers are.
Clean play ranger? Yeah, you're not even doing it.
So cool. We've watched these bucks move across the top of this ridge now 3 different times in the same spot. So thinking about going in there in the morning, making a setup using Greg's leafy suit, and basically waiting for him to either cruise in or out of that bedding area that they've been using. So fingers crossed for tomorrow. We'll see how it goes.
Start in the kitchen.
I'm gonna get out right here, go up this ridge. Greg and I are gonna split up today. He's going to film and glass from that spot that we saw all those bucks yesterday morning from the road, giving hand signals and stuff like where the deer are, because he'll have a better vantage point than I will. And I am going to sneak up here in the dark and get right on top of the ridge where most of those bucks went over the top. We've seen bucks walk that general area now several times in the last few days. I don't know if it's gonna work, but we're gonna give it a try. These deer seem to be using the same part of this ridge over and over again. So I'm gonna go up there and get set up. Might take his leafy suit with me so I can blend in. And like I said, we've been in this area several times in the last few days, seen bucks do the same thing. So we're just trying to put all the pieces together. Hopefully it works this morning.
I'm gonna take my shoes off so I can be extra quiet up here on the top. It's so calm.
I'm in position. Aaron is on top of ridge number 1 right there. Well, the sun's starting to come up. Aaron is up on the very top where all these ridges kind of come together. We've identified 4 different ridges, and from my position here I can see across the tops of them, and I can see into some of these draws right here, and then I can signal to Aaron which ridge it's on. There's a buck right here, not far away. Aaron's looking the other way right now. Is there another buck right there, or he's got a doe? It looks like he just snort wheezed. Try to get Aaron's attention here. buck. Going up. Got the signal to Aaron. He's starting to work that way, and the buck is chasing that doe up the ridge, and they're about to go over, unfortunately. But Aaron's moving. Got border patrol all over the place here. Slowly kneeling down like he saw something, is trying to get some cover.
Well, the plan almost worked. I got up here real quiet in my socks. And I got tucked up in this bush behind me here in the shadows. Had an arrow knocked, my bow was ready to go, and I was just watching Greg because I can't see over this lip. They've been using this ridge, but that's why he is over there, is so he can glass into this side and let me know if there's anything coming. Well, I guess he didn't see this buck or something, because I just put down my binos and I saw him, and he was standing there looking at me at 15 yards. And of course then the game was up, and he took off and ran back down through here. It was a decent little buck. Then Greg spotted a couple more back that direction, and I was able to get within about 60 yards of them, but dang it. If I'd have known that buck was coming up the ridge, it would have been a different story. I'd have been ready to go, and I probably could have got a shot at it. But these things are hard to see, man. They are hard to see in this country. They're so small. They blend in so well. I'm gonna lace my boots back up and head back to the truck, I guess.
$15. Yeah, I put my binos down, and he was looking up there at me. He was right there. He was coming right up that ridge, straight up the point of that thing, just like they've been doing. I can't see up there, until they're right there on the flat with me. And then I went over the hill after you signaled that you saw those other bucks, or that other buck.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a buck, a doe, and a fawn?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I got about 60 yards from them just over the hill.
Really?
Yeah, they're right there in the bottom below me. I grunted at him a couple times, and he would look up there, and he would rub a tree, and then he would keep going.
No
He
kidding.
didn't want to leave the doe.
Yeah.
And about halfway up, I took my shoes off and walked in my socks. And like when I got over the hill, I actually moved on those deer about 15, 20 feet when they're at 60 yards.
Yeah.
They're just so tiny. I mean, I was looking at him, I was like, man, that thing's got to be 140 yards away, and I ranged him, he's 59 yards. And that was just over the ridge. You filmed him go over that hill, I'm assuming.
Right.
You can be quiet in your socks, though.
Mm-hmm.
It sort of worked. Back to the drawing board. Must be it. A little cantina. Gonna grab us a bite to eat, recharge, and then go back after these suckers. La Gitana, Cantina and Cafe.
You saw muleys on that side, we saw a group right here.
I saw 5 does right up here on this yesterday, and then earlier today, Greg and I saw several does over here bedded. Yeah, and then in these hills right here on the higher elevation stuff, we saw Coues deer earlier.
We're game planning for the evening, guys. We just dropped Greg off. Eric and Logan split up, went to go do some predator calling. 3 of us are out searching for deer right now. And between the combined intel the last few days, we've seen a bunch of them right here in this spot. Maybe glass one up here shortly.
What do you guys call that guy back east?
The gate opensman?
Yeah. That's what you call him? The gate opensman?
I don't know if you can actually say what we call him on camera.
We refer to him the same then. The gate opensman.
Where are we headed here, Case?
So, Brian just glassed up a few muleys, a couple does up here on this little ridge. So we're just gonna cruise up here and glass our way up and see what we can come up with. It's kind of the heat of the day. It's 3:19. We're kind of surprised that there were some deer up and moving, but we're just trying to get lucky. You never know.
And they're bedded up there on the rock. Look at this. This is nuts.
Dude, that's wild.
Look at them up there just bedded on those rocks, watching down below. Still in the same canyon.
They don't like to get far away.
There's another one to the right. B-Mac, see it?
See, Brian?
Guys, we found a buck. Aaron spotted it not far from those does. He's skylined really beautifully right now.
There's another deer with him.
Dude, he'll watch the truck.
Yeah, he'll watch.
Just hold still, get your bow.
Dude, he totally bought it.
Up here, we haven't got eyes on that buck. Crested the ridge and glassed this whole opposite hill and don't see him. I think what we'll do is run back to the truck and get Casey and then cruise up the road and keep glassing for the evening.
Guys, if you ever want to come out to Arizona, this is what you're going to face. That you're going to have time and time and time and time and time and time again of stocks that don't necessarily materialize.
You gotta keep going. Gotta keep trying. Because eventually they do.
They do. But that's what makes it fun. It's there's so many deer here. You have a lot of opportunities. Really good time to practice your craft because the conditions are challenging with noisy sticker bushes, rocks, cactus. Plus, while all you guys are freezing right now back east, it was 70 degrees today here. Not terrible.
It's awesome. Hasn't rained at all since we got here either.
We're right here.
Why do you still have 4 arrows?
I didn't fire it.
You need to loose an arrow if you're gonna punch a tag, Aaron.
That's true.
Surprised you don't know that.
That's gonna wrap it up for the 4th day of our hunt down here in Arizona. We saw a bunch more deer today. Got into some mule deer actually, which was pretty cool. Never shot one of those either, so me and B-Mac went on a little stalk there and tried to get on a buck that we spotted from the road and just didn't pan out, but we're gonna go back to that same area tomorrow and hopefully we can get into them. Should be cool.